Do I have your permission to open up your Akashic records?
Yes.
Okay, going into your records, we'll take a moment. Okay, so first off, you have an origin beyond the Andromeda galaxy. You're from the central sun. You're from the great central sun. I think this is just a reminder, and I've never heard it quite articulated in this way, but you come from the heartbeat of the Creator. And so it could almost be said that you're you being created as a being in itself comes from your creation, comes from the creation of divine rhythm. Yes. The rhythm of light. And so it's like you come from the very beginning, because what's the very first thing that was ever created, which was rhythm, the heartbeat of the Creator, the heartbeat of all that is. And so the best way to describe that is, if everything is just pure light and there's no variance, then there's some sort of variance introduced in, and we would say that's like a minor amount of contrast. And so in the beginning, we would describe that as the heartbeat of the Creator. And so it's interesting because we think about, like, that's like the beginning of vibration. So your story starts like not just at the beginning of you, but like at the beginning of anything.
Yeah.
Quite literally the heart and the light source and the rhythm of the great central sun. So there's two themes and two things coming through immediately, which is like the essence of what the energy that you're tapped into, and like sort of your stream and where you come from, is it holds two very specific elements. One is like the light. I don't necessarily want to say the power source, but it's like it's the light. It's like literally, quite literally the light, metaphysically light. Metaphorically the light, but it's also the rhythm. So it's the theme that's immediately coming through is timing, because rhythm has to do with timing. Rhythm is an aspect of the illusion of time. So you hold two energies, and one is rhythm, and one is pure light. And I want to say it's power, but it just more feels like benevolent light. Okay, so you originate from the great central sun. What else can I tell you about this? What else is most important to tell you about this? That's like really where your true home is. Yeah. So this is how I would describe it, and this is going to be very different than a lot of other people's journeys. A lot of people have a journey that you do, basically your soul goes from one place and then it evolves to another, and then to another, and we think of it as being very linear, like what I would expect your traditional story to evolve from now on in this channel would be like Great Central Sun, and then Andromeda, and then you came to the Milky Way, blah blah. But this is not really how yours work. Yours is almost like you are such an integrated, you're so integrated in the central sun that it's like whenever you go out, I almost see like these little like pockets and pods going out from the sun and exploring, and then they come back, and then they go out and explore and come back. So it's like you always have, and I think this is a big part of also the reason why you're like so light and so playful, is because you haven't really taken the trajectory of going lifetime to lifetime to lifetime to lifetime to descend here into this place. It's you literally go like Great Central Sun, and then like the next lifetime could be, I'm going to ask what it is, but just for this case would be like, okay, you went to Andromeda, and instead of going Andromeda here, you went Andromeda back to the Great Central Sun, re-assimilated back into your home, and then you come back, and then you go to Earth, and then you reassemble back to your home, and then you decide to go somewhere else. So everything is like, you really do truly have a home and a central place and a bouncing off place. So I think all the other lives we're going to go through, it's going to be great to tune into those different energies, and they're going to be things that you've learned from. But, and there's a really big but, which is like that feeling of home is literally the Great Central Sun in this place of pure light, and also the pulsating and the rhythm that is there. There's some sort of rhythm there as well. The rhythm is like you know what it is? The rhythm is a byproduct of your exploration, but the actual just it being pure light is what feels like home. So rhythm is sort of how you play and how you interact with new environments and how you explore, but it's almost like the rhythm of I'm here, and then I'm going there, and then I'm coming back here, and I'm going there. Does that make sense? So if you ever feel like you need to rest or feel more at home, return to that space of pure light. If you ever feel filled up and ready to play, get into rhythm, like quite literally. So these are almost like the two major aspects of you that I really see. And so like learning to, you are balancing them, but being like, this should give you a way to like really recognize those, we talk about the masculine and feminine. With you, let's talk about just like the pure restful light and being, and then the exploration and the rhythm kind of thing. So the rhythm could be like more masculine because it's more like exploring and getting out there, making shit happen, and then just the pure light would be the more feminine. Which is kind of interesting because that's like usually the opposite. We usually consider the light to be the masculine and the dark to be the feminine, because the feminine receives, but that's kind of how we interpret it. Okay, so do you have any questions about the segment, or can I move on?
I feel ready to move on.
Okay.
That makes sense to me.
Good. So, let's see here. So where is your first incarnation that we can talk about? Feeling it though.
Oh yeah.
Feels like a lot of things. Feels like water. Feels very vaginal.
Yeah.
Are you getting that too?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super. Like literally just all vagina. That's really funny. Okay. So this is like being birthed. This is your birth. So where were you first born? I think it was Sirius, man.
Wow.
There's a serious connection.
Yeah.
It feels very water planet.
Yeah.
It feels very like fucking mermaid energy.
Oh.
I'm being confirmed that I think there is serious connection, but I'm gonna withdraw that for now and come back to it, and we're gonna go a bit deeper. It's not this galaxy, so this is not your first. The Milky Way was not the first place you incarnated. It's beyond Andromeda too. Like you're ancient, and you've had many lives in many different places. Basically, we say like your oversoul, your higher self. It has experienced many lifetimes beyond what even the knowledge that humans here are capable of. These are places that we don't see and we don't know of. Maybe I just ask like to describe. The biggest theme I get is water right away. It's like he went straight for water. And it, you know what it is? And I was doing, it's like, it almost looks like the strands of DNA. Like this, like the weaving of DNA.
Yeah, totally.
So there's this like motherly, like, I'm getting like, definitely like the motherly birthing energy, definitely the weaving of the DNA. It almost feels like, it's like divine feminine, but like etheric is kind of how I describe it. I'm not entirely sure it's like totally physical. This is another reality that I don't fully understand. Maybe you can tell me about it, what the gist of it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely feels like there's a water connection deep inside me. It also feels like...
This is the balance between the light, just the light,
Oh, wow.
which is stillness, and the rhythm. And so this is like the first way you started to find a way to like integrate them and bring them together, which is represented by two things. One, which is literally the strands of DNA, and you could say Kundalini energy,
Totally.
the wrapping, the sacred geometry, like this, and then also that feeling of the water, which is the water is like not quite physical, it's in flow, it's literally holding light energy, but it's also in rhythm.
Yeah.
It's also... It feels like elemental, etheric. So you almost were like, tell me exactly what's going on. I think that the first thing that wants to come through is like, you very specifically wanted the experience of being born. And so what you chose early on in your lifetime was like, actually like being birthed through something. So like your first your first lifetime, or your first coming into being a being, it wasn't just a being that was like created, it wasn't a being that just ascended from a higher vibrational place. It was a being that literally like came through the portal of another being. So this is the most important information from this very early on, is that it was, you didn't work alone. Initially, right away, you didn't work alone. You literally worked through another being. You chose, and you could say contractualize yourself to be birthed through another being. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the most important information that's coming through.
Wow.
Okay, so anything else about this lifetime? Not really. Okay, so next lifetime. Okay, we're going to talk about Andromeda Galaxy. Maybe ask how many lifetimes you've had there.
Yeah.
Okay, there's been several. There's one in particular that wants to be talked about. Okay, this is very interesting. So I want to come back to the mother thing, but this is basically what happened. Is very early in your path, I think you really wanted to experience like the mother energy, but also wanted to experience the father energy. And so the father energy comes from the Andromeda galaxy for you.
Yeah.
So this is like this is where you embodied the fatherly, like, divine masculine, like that more, I guess, male focused energy. Which actually is funny because Andromeda is considered to be like the mother galaxy of the Milky Way. But obviously it holds many different aspects. So your sort of role there, and what you encompassed was much more, it feels much more fatherly.
Yeah.
So on this role in Andromeda, what were you? How'd you get there? What did you do? So you came again from the central sun. You initially incarnated there as a light being, a higher dimensional being. And this is where you actually took the different route. Instead of being birthed by someone else, you literally like descended. You were able to become more multidimensional, and actually become a being there. So you would think of you more as like, even if I'm not entirely sure how it works with the Andromedans, like even if they had to be born, it's not really the experience you had. You more were like what they would call like a walk-in kind of thing, like where the body is created and then you were able to descend your consciousness into it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So what did you do in Andromeda? I feel like you were like some sort of connector.
Yeah.
I'm seeing like all the different stars, and like, you know how when you see the constellations and they draw the lines between them, it's almost like that was like your job to link up all these different places.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just to link them up. It was just to, again, I think it comes back to that aspect of play, where it's like when you go to one and it lights you up enough, and you get so light you like shoot off to the next one, and you like, almost looks like a pinball. Where you're like bing, 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 bing. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
You definitely had a ship. Feels like triangle ship. Nope. It's actually like I'm seeing like it's three-sided. What is that? It almost looks like a windmill. What's have you seen that shape before? What is it? Where there's an oval this way and then another one this way.
Oh.
And then another one this way.
Yeah.
And then they kind of cross over each other. What's that? Is that like tree of life kind of thing?
Yeah, circle the flower of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The very flower of life. Like even like your ship and your like Merkaba was very like flower of life.
Whoa.
This is your first experience with family, with collaboration with other beings in the physical, physical, non-physical, both. Really building relationships.
Yeah.
Some more like long-term, I don't want to call them contracts, but more collaborations were built here. You are a part of a long lineage of Andromedans, and so that's why you're so connected to the energy still, and there's a lot of interest in them helping you. Yeah, there's almost like a family lineage there.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions about? It feels like if I look at the galaxy, it's like I can see where you are. You know when you see how where Earth is, it's not all the way on the outside, but it's like in the Milky Way, it's like if the middle is here, it's like, and the outside is here, it's like kind of like right in here.
Totally, yeah.
It's like kind of the same area. You like see you circling around and kind of hanging out in that area.
Yeah.
What was this place like? Very airy, a lot of air energy. very light, very bright. Certainly less dense. It's almost like you were so multidimensional that the physicality was like barely, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, barely physical. Anyway, your intentions and what you learn there. Okay. It's interesting. Andromeda for you is really learning how to like dive into detail.
Yeah.
Because I heard something about fragrance, and so I'm interpreting that as in, because you're coming from being a part of the great central sun, to be able to manifest into a more like focused and specific environment. And literally, because when you think about our sense of smell, there's something so intimate about it and so like poignant about it.
Yeah.
And so a big part of your experience there was really learning intimacy, family connection, and also how to like take your sort of your attention and your being from this broader place, which is, you know, being a part of the great central sun, just being light, infinite light, to like holding it on something more specific and being here, but not doing it for prolonged period of times. It wasn't like monk energy. It was almost like you really like, oh, this, okay, oh, okay, over here, oh, this, okay, over here, oh, okay, over this. So there's such an innate sense of curiosity, and I think that's why I was getting like the bouncing back and forth between different planets and different stars. There's so much to explore for you, and so much to just inhale and take in. So yeah, just very curious. Do you have any specific questions about Andromeda connection?
Yeah.
Yeah, please ask.
With my family, do you feel like there are members of my physical family here on Earth that were also incarnated into my family in Andromeda?
I know the answer, but can I ask you what you think?
Yes.
Okay. Why?
I feel like my dad's side of the family in particular has, especially my grandma, like my dad's mom, has, she's got a lot of Pisces energy, and we've had some pretty deep conversations over the years as I've grown up, and still to this day, like just the other night, about like really like what we're here to do on this earth, like our purpose on this earth, and like the timelines of the earth and our responsibility to shepherd toward higher timelines, shepherd people toward higher timelines. And so one thing, you know, and especially when I got into a much darker place in life for a while, in the recent last really like few years, like especially before I moved to Austin. But I remember mentioning to her, like, you know, the possibility for like a timeline collapse on the earth and like a descent into chaos, and she mentioned to me that like we could just return to like our home world. She was like, well, yeah, that's fine. I mean, you know, that's tragic for the people of the earth. However, this isn't really our home. Like, we have another home.
Does she know where she's from?
I haven't ever asked her.
I gotta be honest, I get that they're from somewhere else.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've felt that too.
But you may have a connection there too, and so like,
yeah,
my hesitation to say it is like, it doesn't make that any less meaningful.
Yeah.
But this definitely has a lot to do with like the root energy.
Yeah.
that fear root energy, whatever it's going on. It feels very, this might be like it might actually be a part of like the family DNA thing. Okay, so where are they from? I think we're gonna find out. Okay, so I'm gonna ask where you came to next after Andromeda. Where did you come to next? Where did you meet your family first? And where's home for them? I think it's Antares too. That's why we have a lot of similar connection. I think that this is why your family feels really connected also to Andromeda as well, because they're part of the portal that leads to Andromeda. So they have like very close Andromedan connection, but they're not actually. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
They're kind of a part of the area where it's the gateway between Andromeda and here. And then that's the feminine portal, the mother goddess consciousness. So why is this relevant? It's just, that's the knowing. Like for the family, it's Antares. There's a really big, strong connection for them and also for you there too. So when it comes to your physical family, like that's the star connection, is Antares.
Yeah.
Which is a place of such peace and such wisdom. I don't know what kind of beings you were there. Okay, so this is what's interesting. You guys were... You and your family have very different stories, but you met and came together in Antares. I think that your family, a lot of them on a soul level, they were more refugees from different places. That's not really your path. And I think that's something I want to articulate is what seems very clear so far, especially as we make all the way to you getting to Earth, is that your like trauma and stuff you've been dealing with here, the reason maybe it seemed kind of confusing is because it's not really like soul trauma. It's not even like karmic shit you've come in that you've experienced to like heal or like fix. It's like DNA. It's DNA, and I think this is why we kept seeing the DNA helixes, and I think this is the most important message to come through, which is that like your consciousness and as a being where you're coming through, you've come to bridge the gap between the two, and also like the challenges and stuff you're working with and the themes, especially like around relationship and root and stuff like that. These are like they're lineage things. They're family lineage things. They're physical lineage things. They're physical lineage things. So you actually, in theory, knowing that it can be easier to work with them because you're like, oh, this isn't even me, and it's literally something that was just kind of passed on into this vessel. And so I can now consciously, as a totally different being, make a choice to shift these. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes that's huge. Resonates very much with me. I feel that.
Yeah, and so I think there's been a lot of like wanting to heal things in multiple timelines and stuff like that. And I think at least right now the message is that's less important, and it's more important in connecting with what actually feels like home to you, who you really are, which is light and rhythm. And then continuing to bring that into the physical vessel and love this thing, love this container as much as possible. So, so you met them in Antares. And it was like when you came together, you all were, none of you looked like each other. Like your whole family, you were all from like different places and you were all different looking beings. But then you came together like in this moment, and there was this like great meeting, and you were like, oh, this, we come from such different places, we look so different, but we work so well together. I think we should definitely do something in other lives, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So there's like a very strong bond and a connection, but how you got to that moment, like, was a very different path for you and really everyone in your family, which is really interesting. So it's like there's a common thread, but there's just a great diversity between everyone. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like where you all come from, which is really cool, because you all come from very different energies, and you also come from even different intentions and ways, but there's enough of an overlap, and there's like a core value there that brought you all together to come and work on stuff together again in this life. Yeah. It's like one being is like blue, one is red, like one is insectoid, one is humanoid, one's not, one's like kind of fairy. I don't know. It's just, there's a lot of different, I just see a bunch of different looking beings all sitting around a table together.
Wow.
Okay, so where did you go next? Great Central Sun again, of course. And then where is your next incarnation after that? Okay, you did go to Lyra. You definitely went to Lyra.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, this could be some of the trauma too. I definitely get like lion energy, cat energy, and I'm also seeing a giant snake, which was, I don't know if you know the story between the Lyra and the Draconian Wars and all the shit that went on there. So, were you involved in that? Yeah, you experienced that for sure. So that is there. This is like the place where you really learn passion. And so I think that this is why this like kind of common theme is coming up in your life, is because passion and intensity and this fieriness was also associated with other lifetimes where things got really chaotic and also got really dark.
Yeah.
So you're trying to find a way to like recreate it and bring it into balance. So for you, passion has this like sort of undertone and subconscious association with chaos and darkness. Yeah. So there's that. So really the work in this lifetime is, if you choose, is learning to tap into that passion and know it and be that lion in a different way and in different environments. To integrate it, I like this very much, to integrate it as your own holy trinity of light, rhythm, and passion. You are light. You have great rhythm to your life. And now, the one thing that's, I don't want to say missing, but it's the third pillar for you, is the integration of passion. And in passion in alignment with your light and your rhythm. And having all three of those working synchronistically and synergistically together. Passion up until now has been sort of self-fueling and self-fulfilling, and it's been trying to operate on its own program. it's had a bit of a mind of its own. Just like we say, taming the lion. You don't necessarily want to tame it, but because you don't want to, it's not about putting it out. You actually want it to be as strong as ever.
Yeah.
But it needs to work in alignment with your natural rhythm and with your natural light. So I'm not entirely sure what that would look like and how to go about it. I can ask.
Yeah, please.
Just seeing like geometry in you, the triangles in you, stars and sacred geometry. I'm going to answer the question, but this is what needs to be done first. Two things are coming to mind. One is the simple phrase of breaking the mold. So you need to find a way to act passionately, act and follow passion in a different direction than you had been previously.
Yeah.
And I think that this comes from, of course, the ideas of belief. Do you believe it's safe to follow your passion?
Yes.
Okay. Did you always believe that?
No.
Okay. Has it changed more recently?
Yes.
Okay. Good. Do you believe that following your passion has to lead to something in particular?
No.
Okay. Is this a new realization?
Yes.
Do you believe that if you follow your passion that you should expect an outcome, therefore you can get disappointed?
No.
Okay. Do you believe that passion is something that is beneficial when it's all consuming?
Yes.
Okay. How so?
It feels like that is when it is the most pure form of passion. And that is when it has the strongest resonance.
Do you believe that all consuming passion has control over you?
No.
Okay. Do you believe that all consuming passion is just a mechanism and recognition of total alignment?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe that there's natural rhythm and ebbs and flows to total and consuming passion?
Yes.
Do you believe that there's great light to be transferred, to be lived in, to be lived through, to experience and be a vessel of while in total passion?
Yes.
Do you know?
Yes.
What don't you know? Why don't you know?
There are still parts of me that
Doubt passion? Don't believe everything you just said?
are attached to stories that are not true, or stories that may have a grain of truth but do not serve the purpose of the passion.
Do you believe those stories are more true than everything you just said?
No.
Do you want to continue to hold on to those stories?
No.
Are you ready to let them go?
Yes.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay. You ready to let them go now?
Yes.
Can you feel yourself literally letting them go now?
Yes.
Can you feel those parts of you reintegrating into the knowing? Feels like your kidneys for some reason. Reintegrating into the knowing that following your passion is actually the safest, most aligned, authentic, universally beneficial.
Yes.
Is it safe and is it beneficial to live in and follow your passion?
Yes.
Do you know?
Yes.
So, how did you get to Earth?
Atlantis.
Okay. It's like between 30 and 40 lives you've had on Earth. That's good. It's not like anything too crazy. Yeah, Atlantis, yes. Some Lemuria, but not as much. More Atlantean connection. I think that got you very involved in like the tech
Yeah.
and the mind. Really learning how to really integrate the mind. There were some tribal lifetimes. There's something about the 1940s that's like really relevant that keeps coming up.
Yeah.
We're going to ask where you were in the 1940s. Okay. That's okay. I'm not expecting that. I'll just trust it. Is this true? Okay. I heard Winnipeg. Fuck.
Okay.
I was not expecting that.
Huh.
Where's that?
Canada.
Is it Canada? That's what
Yeah.
I thought. Yeah. So there's a lifetime early on where you're like a fur trapper or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
French Canadian.
yeah. So what is the relevance of this lifetime? Explore. I think that this is really where your like exploratory nature is being emphasized, like that, like you said, that Sag energy. So even a lifetime like that, you were a bit of a pioneer. You were an explorer, but you had this really good balance between like wanting to read, like being very studious. I think that the common thing I'm seeing through you is like you're like a sponge for knowledge. And so you really like soaking up like sort of different things. So it's almost like energetically, and this was in common with Andromeda, is like you would go there and you'd like really focus on something and like really smell it, and the second you like received it, you were like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this is naturally your energy and who you are. So I think something really important when you're calling in the idea of a partner in one person,
Yeah.
I think that if you really want like one person for a prolonged period of time,
Yeah.
there needs to be a way to satisfy that in you within the relationship.
Wow.
And so this may be part of the reason why you've been attracting these more like kind of rocky, shorter term things.
Yeah.
Is because deep down you knew you just wanted the, okay. Okay. And it doesn't necessarily mean, I think that there's a way to grow into that where you still can satiate and satisfy like that core of who you are while still being with someone else.
Yeah.
And so like for me, like I kind of had the same thing, but it's like, that's why I know when I come together with someone, they need to be like super Sag energy where we're just like, we're flowing and we're doing this and we're doing that, we're doing this, and it feels like there's like a calmness between us, but then like the world on the outside is like this beautiful whirlwind of synchronicity because I need things to be really quick like that. And so I could view that energy being in me and be like, well, I just want to move from like person to person to person to person to person to person. But in you, it's a little different, which is like you really want to like, there really needs to be like a constant newness.
Yeah.
So it's like finding a way that, it's funny, you've like ended up with someone who you're like, I feel like I'm dealing with multiple people. Because then it's great, because you're like, oh, okay. Well, now I'm confused. Don't be confused because you literally want that.
Yeah.
That's literally what you want.
Yeah.
So when you find someone, I think adding that to your list of aspects, someone in the best way possible, in the most loving way possible, feels like an endless well of discovery where I always feel like I'm learning something new about you.
Wow. Yeah.
I kind of think that's the most important thing to you, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise you get like kind of in your head, and I don't know if it's bored, but it like you almost blast straight through the boredom, and then you create interest by like trying to figure a bunch of shit out, but it's really stemming from the place of like there's not enough like I don't know what the first thing I said, but you understand. Yeah. Okay, so I think we have we got 8 minutes left. Do you have any questions or themes or anything you want to kind of wrap up with?
Do you know why so many people here, specifically in Austin, but also throughout my life, and in Chicago too, have resonated with ancient Egypt, and why I've had readings in regards to an important role in that?
Oh, good. I'm glad you asked. Okay. I'm seeing someone with a pipe, almost like one of those where they're like welding, or no, what do you call it? Blowing the glass?
Yeah.
Okay,
Glass
this is-
blowing, yeah.
Okay, so we talked about Sirius early on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's more than just this, but I'm going to connect the two now,
Yeah.
just for the sake of it. Not to say that this is, I don't want this to put you in a trap and you're like, okay, my only connection to Egypt is also Sirius.
Yeah.
But this is an important one.
Mhm.
The energy between the two, for some reason for you, because I always think ancient Egypt, Lyra, because of the cats.
Yeah, totally.
But there's also a serious connection. And what is it? The Queen's Chamber or something in the
Queen's
pyramid?
Chamber,
Doesn't
yeah.
it point directly at Sirius?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yes. Interesting. So you were a boy. There's a lifetime. I hear like a kettle builder.
Mm.
You were forging. You were you forged. You literally were forging things there.
Mm-hmm.
You had direct contact with the Syrians.
Mm-hmm.
They were teachers and guides for you,
Mm-hmm.
not just spiritually, but also physically. There was like an actual, relationship and interaction. Okay, that was one. That was kind of a shorter life. There's a longer life in Egypt. Woman. It's interesting because you had access to like the spiritual tech there.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of like a priesthood, like a high priestess vibe.
Yeah.
But it feels kind of, I don't get like a strong feminine thing, but that's just initially the read. I think that's less important, and the fact that this was like, you had one life there that was like very physical, and you were building. You were quite literally a forger of things.
Yeah.
Connected with the Syrians, and then you had another life that was really about pure spiritual connection. You were very sociable.
Yeah.
This is definitely one of the lifetimes where like that initial cluster of beings from Antares came together, your family.
Yeah.
You guys definitely played together there. I'm getting that and this extends outside of just your immediate family. I believe that there's like a core 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's with the 12? 12 feels very important. There's like 12 core beings. Definitely Mantis. You definitely have Mantis too. It's so funny. Yeah. I'm seeing their ships. Yeah, the Egypt thing is the Syrian connection. It's like really strong Syrian connection. Yeah. What else can I tell you about it? Okay. This is what it is, man.
Yeah.
You were born in Egypt, and then you left and you went to Sirius. In the same life.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's what the fuck it is, dude.
Oh.
Because the whole story was coming together where it's like a lifetime and connected to Sirius, and then I'm seeing the ships, and I'm like, it feels like you got like, not abducted, but like low-key abducted.
Yeah.
like willingly.
Yeah.
And so you essentially like ascended to a certain point and had such a strong relationship with the Syrians that as an Egyptian, as a human, you were taken to Sirius on one of the ships.
Whoa.
And you lived out the rest of your life there.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, because you essentially, this was a 2 lifetime thing. The first one, we talk about the forging. The forging is both literal, but also figurative, that you're forging the 2 energies of Sirius and Earth together.
Yeah.
But it was like a 2 lifetime thing. The first lifetime felt more kind of physical and building the connection, and then the next lifetime was more of like, of becoming a master and ascending, of priesthood. That's really the biggest word I hear. And in that priesthood, you got to a certain point where like you basically like spiritually, energetically like graduated from the environment of ancient Egypt. And then like the next logical step was, and there was an agreement between like you and the Syrians that you were like, okay, I will continue and go live my rest of my lifetime there. And continue to ascend on that planet, which Sirius is also supposed to be home of ascended masters, so so a lot of connection there. Yeah. Does it make sense?
That makes perfect sense. Oh my God.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, because I literally saw the ship like floating over you. It was crazy. So, anything about Earth in this lifetime that I'm allowed to tell you? Major theme of this life is forgiveness. Anything from your higher self, anything that I'm allowed to tell you? Any contracts or anything like that coming forward? So something I want to say is this is the message I get, that the children are contracted. Who you have them with is not. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Okay, so here's the thing. It's gonna happen. You already know that. Now you get to craft and create. This is where you've given yourself wiggle room in the hallway. You get to craft and create what the person you get to share that experience with is like. And of course within some bounds, because there's certain things that are just going to be totally out of alignment. But, so you have more creative wiggle room in that department. So I don't think you even need to worry about the kids thing and stuff like that. Obviously, you know, because I don't even think you need to make sure the person like wants them, because it's just like, if that's where the knowing comes in. Your knowing knows that, and so it only leads you to that, and everything else that isn't that, you'll just bounce off of. So getting more specific about what type of experience you want to have. Even if you want them to look a certain way or whatever, that's okay too. That's great. What you can see your home and your environment, and also I think tuning in, maybe asking them what the purpose of this coming together was, like these future kids. Here's the message that's coming through. They are they are already who they are, and you've already signed up for this, and it's going to be wonderful, and it's going to be a growing experience. But when it comes to like what type of experience you're going to have with the next generation that you create, that's a place of total surrender for you. And so I think now is such a great and wonderful opportunity in which that you have a little bit more space to continue to explore and remember and tap into and balance your true authenticity, the trinity of light, rhythm, passion, all held together by knowing. Let that be your entire life, knowing that these beings and all the cooperative people and environment, everything are coming together for it, and that you don't need to try to make it happen. And more than that, even that is going to be something to move through. Because it's not a destination. It's going to happen, and when it happens, it's going to be a whole new set of challenges. It's going to test your strength in a different way. I'm not necessarily saying it's going to be harder than ever, but it's going to be a whole new set of challenges.
Absolutely.
So maybe I'll ask about any future lifetimes or anything else in this one. Are you curious about anything else in this one? Future.
There's definitely curious about the future. I feel like I have this one satisfied.
Okay. Contracted to return, but if you want to, you can. The biggest thing I get is like, at least after this, consciously there's going to be a bit of a break, and even if if and when you do come back, the break will be quantum, so you literally could just reincarnate. Time-wise in our timeline, like quite soon after. But your actual experience is you're going to be playing in other realms like quite a bit between this lifetime and whatever is next. And of course, man, you know where you're going after this lifetime? To the great central sun. Because it's just what you do. I see a lot of etheric play, consulting with the angels and the angelic realm. I see a lot of like travel and exploration, and just again like here. Are you coming back to Earth? It's not for sure. It's when it's a yes, I know. With you, it's not decided yet, so it's something that you will decide. We'll decide. It doesn't feel. It feels like the human wants to, but like energetically and beyond that. There won't be anything you need to learn. And you won't be contracted, you won't be karmically linked anymore. Just healing this kid over. So,
Mm-hmm.
this is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
You think you want to, on some level, but it's the same energy that leaves you attached to the past.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, here's the thing. You can, and it'll be great, but not when you follow that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Knowing that we're always being guided and led to where it's actually in most alignment, even if it seems very unfamiliar.
Mm-hmm.
So the familiarity of that feeling, and why it seems to be a theme, it's the family thing, it's the lineage thing, it's in the DNA.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you're healing. It's that.
Yeah.
That's what's holding you back. Do you have any last questions before I close out?
Yeah, I have one final question.
Yes.
So, is the significance of the number 12 from ancient Egypt related to incarnations with the 12 apostles in the time of Yeshua?
It's like the galactic version of that, yeah. Which is to say it's that.
Yeah.
I never even thought about that. Yeah. That's very healing. That's healing. That's the healing sacral energy that you need.
Yeah.
It's that.
Yeah.
The 12. The 12, the completion, the Christ consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
Yeshua,
Yeah.
through the sacral.
Something, yeah.
So I'm going to ask one last thing, maybe about the first thing I saw, which was the birthing.
Mm-hmm.
And this comes full circle.
Mm-hmm.
I think the sacral thing is very similar to what yours feels more like on a soul level. I would say mine's more on just this life level, which it's like the mother wound. So the very first thing that came out was the birthing. So your very first time being a being, you were birthed from another being, which was then incapable of loving you as much as the great central sun, which you already were.
Yeah.
Even though you're in a realm where the love, or from our perspective, it's still pretty great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's something about a healing of that wound in the sacral that's attracting you sort of to the wounded feminine. And I think that really the route is the bridge between the Father Sky and the Mother Earth. So let me ask how we would do this. What can you call in? I think you call in the 12. You call in the 12. And so
Yeah.
you call in the 12, which is almost like the Galactic 12 apostles. So we have the Syrians, we have the Andromedans, we have the Antares, the Mantises, we have the Arcturians, we have the Lyrans, we have the Atlanteans. We have the Andromedans from the Andromedan constellation. definitely ant people there. Red ant people again.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Ascended Masters.
Yeah.
We have Baba G.
Yeah.
We have the Archangels. The angelic beings. And last but not least, and most important, we have you. Remember, you had a seat at that table.
Yeah.
So don't forget yourself.
Thank you.
And it can be all those things, but if you feel it's 12 different,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just listing 12 different energies,
Yeah.
but you will know, and always give yourself the last seat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna close out.
Thank you.
Closing records.